Hey, what's up? I'm Casey and this is CaseyReacts. Today we're going to be going over Ask Reddit, going over a few questions in there and looking through the comments and seeing what people have to say. Alright, let's get right to it. Overthinkers of Reddit, what unlikely scenario actually came true that you were completely prepared for because you are an overthinker? I always carry a small sewing kit wherever I go to a wedding. I've sewed 2 brides into their dresses so far. Yeah, sewing kits are good. Knowing how to sew just in general is always a good bet. I was in a musical and my vest that I was wearing ended up ripping down the side, so I had to sew it up like 5 minutes before I had to get on stage. I'd say it's very, very worth it to learn how to sew. You don't have to be an expert, just enough to do any kind of hems or patches. Not me, but my mother. Apparently, at a party where my parents and their friends were playing board games, there was a realization that an hourglass was missing from one of the games they planned on playing. My mother proceeded to reach into her purse and pull out an hourglass she just so happened to bring on the off chance they didn't have one. However, later in the night, when some drinks had been had, someone accidentally slammed a drink down, breaking my mother's hourglass. Without missing a beat, she reached into her purse and pulled out another hourglass. She knew the first one, being glass, might get broken, so she had a backup ready. And I wish that I was that prepared for anything. The best I have is I always bring a spare pizza just in case I accidentally eat all the first one. What family secret was spilled in your family? That my parents had to get married. They always told us they got married in 1961, but it was 1962, 3 months before my sister was born. What's amusing is that my father was an accountant who was insanely fast with math. Whenever he was asked how many years they had been married, he'd be off by 1. My mother would correct him through clenched teeth, and then my father would nod and agree. My grandparents are first cousins. An uncle on the same side of the family is in prison for the assassination of a presidential candidate. Family still says he was framed and is innocent. Wow. Wow. Yeah, that kind of took a odd turn. I mean, started out with the grandparents being cousins, but the assassination attempt, that kind of came out of nowhere. That's definitely a good secret. What was your biggest and most regrettable, "It's not a phase, Mom, it's my life," that in fact turned out to be just a phase and not your life? I know for me personally, that would be whenever I dyed my hair black the second I moved to another state. Eventually I just got tired of having to re-dye it all the time, so I just kind of stopped. Problem is I have very, very blonde hair, so until I finally had a Britney Spears meltdown and shaved my head about a year later, I had a very bad ombre going on with my hair. It was not good and I would not recommend it. Don't dye your hair dark if it's already light, unless you really intend on taking care of those roots whenever they pop up. I was also about 18 or 19 at the time. My emo phase came very, very late in life. I was very into the Transformers when I was a wee lad in the 1980s. I guess he's Irish or Scottish. I'm not really sure I've ever heard anybody else say wee lad. One day, I decided to change my name to the name of my favorite Autobot. My name was Lame, and I wanted an awesome Transformer name, and I was very insistent that my parents only call me by my new name. Calling me by my old name would cause a big fat tantrum on my part. So for the better part of a week, my poor parents had to call me Wheeljack. Man, how bad does your name have to be for you to say, you know what, I want you to call me Wheeljack? I mean, good lord, it's not like his name is Gabe or anything like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Wheeljack is better than Gabe. To my friend's name Gabe, I'm really sorry. My cat ear phase. I wore cat ears every single day. Everywhere. I had like 20 pairs of them. Now everyone thinks I'm a furry. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you gotta be careful with wearing cat ears. Unless you're like super into anime culture and really, really show it, people are just gonna think you're a furry. Almost 80% of the ocean hasn't been discovered. What are you most likely to find out there? Absolutely nothing that we would actually want to find. Oh my god. The ocean is a horrifying place. Why do you think that scientists are trying to get us off the earth so quickly? They know what's down there. They know it's coming. Sunken ships from all periods of the past. You know, as a kid, I really, really wanted to go and learn how to be a diver so I could dive down into the Titanic and find that stupid necklace they made in the movie. As I got older, I realized that was probably just to the movie and didn't actually happen. I was also not a smart kid. I mean, at one point I dived headfirst off my bunk bed and cracked my head open. Luckily, we weren't insured, so my parents just pretty much wrapped my head up in some Walmart gauze and told me to go to sleep. I'm shocked I'm alive. I think there will be a load of species that we either didn't know about or thought was extinct. Would be pretty cool to discover a dinosaur of sorts right in the deep dark ocean. No. No, it wouldn't. There are a lot of movies about why that's a horrible idea. I don't want those things to be alive. Have you heard of Godzilla? Any of the Jurassic Park movies, The Meg? That's a horrible, horrible thought. Like I said, the desire to leave Earth grows stronger every day. 80% of what we have discovered down there are creatures straight out of a horror story, so it's likely we'll discover something even more horrifying. See, this guy gets it. I imagine there is some kind of absolutely huge lobster down there. Deep sea giganticism is a thing. Giant isopods, squid, spider crabs, and are all far larger than their relatives that live closer to the surface. There's also the fact that lobsters never start growing until they die and do not suffer negative effects of aging. Basically, I just wanted to talk about lobsters for a minute. Did you know that lobsters have at least 2 penises? Did you know lobsters attract mates by pissing out of their eyes? Lobsters are cool as hell. Edit. Damn, y'all, I didn't expect this post to blow up like this. Anyway, did you know that California's spiny lobsters apparently taste better than Maine lobsters, but they aren't eaten in large numbers here as the vast majority are exported to China? Did you guys know that California's spiny lobsters scare away predators by using their huge antenna to make a loud noise that sounds like a train stopping? Has the squad heard that female California spiny lobsters have a small claw near one of their sexual organs for some reason? Did you guys know that 2 of the California spiny lobster's main predators are the lingcod? Did y'all know lingcod isn't a ling, and it isn't a cod? Ha! And the cabezon, 2 of the only fish in the world that have blue meat. How about how langostino lobsters aren't lobsters at all, but are actually more closely related to hermit crabs? Wow! Lobsters are cool! I gotta say, I went into this expecting scary stuff, but this is really, really interesting to learn about. I've never, ever, ever thought lobsters could be interesting. I really like this. This is pretty cool. What wild animal is commonly thought to not be dangerous, but you need to stay the hell away from because they are dangerous? Well, logically speaking, any wild animal. Stay away from any and all wild animals. If you don't know them, don't go near them because almost any of them can be very, very dangerous if you catch them in the wrong circumstances. Caterpillars. I'm from Scotland, where pretty much nothing in nature can kill you, except the massive drinking. Visited New Orleans, and a buck moth caterpillar fell out of an oak tree and landed on my arm. Oh my god, I felt like my arm was literally on fire. It swelled up, went really hard to the touch, and was burning. My friend's mom used tape to get all the barbs out of my skin. Ever since then, my skin has been horrendously sensitive. I now have a medication for rosacea, I'm sorry if that's a horrible pronunciation, because my stupid immune system is terrified of flipping caterpillars and will freak out at almost anything. Yeah, no, as a kid, I was pretty terrified of caterpillars. Not the small ones, like the ones that just turn into cute butterflies, but the big green hairy ones, or red hairy ones. I don't know, it's been a long time since I've seen them, but I remember always being told, don't touch them, they'll kill you. I don't think that was the case. I think my parents were just exaggerating, but man, hearing this experience, I know that it was probably a good idea that I never touched them. Australian here. Kangaroos. Never approach a kangaroo on land. They'll beat the crap out of you. Also, never approach a kangaroo in the water. They will drown you, and they are good at it too. Also, be careful not to hit a kangaroo with your car. They always have the last laugh when it comes to fighting 2-ton machines. Here's the thing. Stay away from anything in Australia. Just don't go near it. Nothing good can come of going to Australia and picking a fight with the wildlife. They will win. Every single time. I think the only thing in Australia that doesn't want to kill you are possums. Because for some reason, whenever God was shipping them out, America accidentally got the Australian possum. Australia got America's possum. Our possums are angry little garbage rats. Their possums are cute little garbage rats. Chimpanzees. They're often in movies, wearing clothes and being cute, but the reality is they're incredibly strong and will literally rip a person to shreds. I think that attack by Travis the chimp in New England a while ago shed some light on how powerful and dangerous they can be. But that wasn't an isolated incident. There are plenty of chimp attacks. I don't know if the Travis the chimp thing is the one I'm thinking of, but The one that always comes to my mind is that woman that owned the chimp that it ripped her hands and face off. Don't get monkeys. Monkeys are very, very unstable creatures, and they can easily rip body parts off. They're pretty damn strong. Maybe the exception being smaller, really, really small monkeys, but even then they can still probably do some damage going for the eyes if they decide to freak out. Just don't keep wild animals as pets. Domesticated animals. They're the ones you want. Chickens, specifically roosters that live alone with multiple hens. They're territorial, they have giant claws, some people use them to bet on fights. Don't mess with roosters. They can and will maim you. Source: had chickens. That rooster was brutal and killed an actual bird of prey in a fight and ate it to show its dominance. Yeah, that's one thing that I've always heard about chickens and roosters is you have to get a very specific breed or they will go full cannibal on you. You gotta get the ones, I don't remember exactly what the name is, but there's a specific type that you get that won't just eat and murder each other. Chickens are really metal, but keeping in mind, they're also basically just evolved dinosaurs. They just kind of evolved a little bit in a downward position. Still terrifying, but just not as menacing to humans. It's also worth noting, turkeys are jerks too. As a FedEx guy last year, I was chased by a turkey off of someone's property. It was horrifying. That thing is huge. Ex-racist people of Reddit. What changed your views? I live in an overall racist country. Natives from here think that we're not that racist, but sometimes it's just, wow. My family also didn't help. Comments about Black, Latino, and Romani people were constantly made, and I also got some of that racism inside of me when growing up. My depression made me change in some ways, and I guess that's one way it changed me. I was in bed at 4 a.m. and I couldn't sleep. So my brain thought it was a nice hour to think about these things and for some reason, and I started asking myself, why? Why do I consider myself better than a black person or a Latino person or a Romani person? Why am I better than any of them? Why are they less than me? And also, what? What makes me good and what makes them bad? What do I get from all of this? What do we get from all of this? I guess the answers were simple. Also with therapy, I learned that making you feel better by making others feel worse isn't a good antidepressant and that it is indeed an asshole move. Having grown up in Texas, I understand a lot of instilled racism. Stuff that where you're like, no, I'm not a racist, but if you really look at it, it's very much racism rearing its head. You gotta work through that stuff. You gotta get it out of you. You have to actively be anti-racist. It sounds weird, but whenever you grow up around that and that's instilled in you, you have to retrain yourself. You can't just say that it's okay because that's how you were raised. You have to change. Brother was racist. We both love science fiction. One time he was talking about all the cool races in Star Wars and Star Trek and the Mass Effect universes. How creative Lucas and Roddenberry were. He talked about how great it would be to be among those races as a human and acquaint yourself with alien creatures and people in mythology. I said, you can't even mingle with the other races on your home planet. Maybe it was the weed, but what I had said had some effect on him. He's very noticeably more tolerant and curious about other peoples now. I think he realized that his previous philosophies were not in line with those of the Federation. Good for him. Edit. No, I didn't realize what day it was. Nice coincidence, though. May the 4th be with all of you. Or if you're a Catholic, it's May the 4th be with you. And with you. And with you. Yeah, I've seen some racist people talk about how they want to be in such and such universe, and I've never really thought about it like that. Why would they if they are so racist that they don't even want to be around other races and their home planet of Earth? Why would you want to go to the Star Wars universe? What would you do? There are so many other alien races there that could easily wipe you out. You would be just insane to want to do that if you have those prejudices. Not me, but my best friend's parents. They told her not to touch me because she would get my skin disease. I'm a brownie, and at the time we met I was 12. They didn't want us to be friends, but I would always be kind and polite to them, knowing full well how they felt about my skin color. One year, my friend, at this point she was my best friend, was having a sleepover birthday party, and her parents said I could come, but I couldn't sleep over. My friend canceled her party, and her parents must have felt like complete crap because they started to talk to me more and more after that. We have been best friends for almost 30 years now. Her parents came to my wedding, they send me a Christmas card every year, they call me and ask how I'm doing, and they invite me to their get-togethers. I'm glad they came around and I'm proud of them. See, I think children can change the future with this. I know it sounds obvious because, they're all going to grow up and they're going to be the future, so of course they're going to change the future. But I think kids are the best way to get parents to change their views on this kind of thing. If there are racist parents, their kids just being bullheaded and stubborn and hanging out with other races anyway, that's perfect. It's a great way to do it. Kids' minds can easily be molded, but you know what? They can be unmolded too. They can be unmolded from that hate that's instilled in them. I didn't realize I was racist and being raised in a racist household until 4th grade. I was in a group project having to give a presentation to the class. My group was me and 2 black girls. My parents hated black women. Black people in general, but especially black women. As they both watched tennis, you can guess all the crap they said about the Williams sisters. Meanwhile, there I was standing there watching my group mates talk. They were just as good, if not better than me at talking in the class, or understanding the material, or anything really. I can still see that moment where the class fades away in my mind, and one of my group mates is talking to the class, where I realize a fundamental truth. My parents were wrong. It still makes me sad thinking about stuff I remember saying as a kid, regurgitating things I heard my parents or relatives say. But in my experience, as I've gotten older, is that the one way to combat racism is to bring people into the same room. When people have shared experiences, that sense of otherness fades away. Of course, in 2021 and the internet being what it is, it's really easy for people to hide in their own corners of the internet. But I'm thankful for that experience in the 4th grade. I got in trouble a lot over the years for getting mad when family would throw around the N-word or lock their doors when they saw black people. But I knew I was right. And in the decades that have passed, nothing has tarnished or taken away that childhood lesson. It's really hard to come out of that mindset, but I am incredibly thankful for every single person that does. That moment, whenever you start seeing things for what they really are, it's amazing, and you'll be a lot happier with a lot less hate in your heart whenever you get to that point. Alright, and that wraps up Ask Reddit. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to come back throughout the week for more content. Please like and subscribe to help keep this channel going, and have a great week.